All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
What? What?
I've had just about enough of this game.
How many of me exist in this game? What am I?
You finally noticed. Didn't I tell you? You won't be alone. I will be at your side, watching over you. Yes,
What?
I am.
No. No, please do not. Please do not. I want to see. Oh, fuck
Akane
this!
Kurashiki.
It's you.
So in the end, Kate gets to be different people and different.
June, I mean Akane from.
I feel sick.
But you're old.
Yes, that's correct. I haven't spoken to you in a very long time, Clover. Or you, Junpei.
Junpei?
Surprise.
Akane, long time no see.
When? How long?
Do you remember when the two of you saved me in the warehouse?
What, huh?
Once you saved me, you went back to your future. Well, your minds did, at least. I carried your bodies to the third AB room, and then took Dio's to the fifth. After that, I went into the first room and borrowed Kay's armor.
So by the time you and Clover came out, you'd already...
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense. Dio killed you, and then Luna took your body to the sixth room. You couldn't have been in his armor.
No, it was me. In this timeline, at least. In this one, I wasn't murdered by Dio. You two saved me. It's just like Schrodinger's cat.
The box is the fucking armor.
Your action.
All right, what about the other history? The one where you weren't saved. What happens then? Who's wearing the armor?
That's quite simple. The man in front of you.
Him?
That's correct. Whenever I'm not in the armor, he is.
What about the memory loss?
For my part, I confess that I lied. He, on the other hand, was telling the truth. Large doses of Soporil can cause memory loss. I gave him a rather large dose.
So, who is he?
You've never seen him before?
No.
What about the rest of you?
I have no idea who he is.
I've never seen him before.
Me either. Total stranger.
What?
Excuse me. What do they mean?
Has the game been lying about my own appearance? I guess it... Have they... They haven't really shown my face at all in the game. Like, they've always obscured the face. They never even show my cut-in whenever it's the AB game results. But I still don't get it.
Are you all right, Mr. Sigma? Did you hit your head or something?
Huh? What? Why didn't they recognize me?
Sigma, your consciousness can jump through time.
This is the one time where I have no idea what the fuck is going on.
You can inhabit your body in the past or in the future.
What does that mean?
You've jumped to the future from 45 years ago.
A pond. Okay. Oh my fucking god, it's me! Why am I 0? This game's fucking bullshit!
It's your face, Dr. Sigma Climb. Although, to the you that's behind it now, it's your face 45 years from now. 0. The mastermind of the AB project is you.
Oh my god, that's a very good twist, but oh my god. That's bullshit!
No, it's the truth. Fighting it isn't going to do you any good. Please, Doctor.
I'm not a doctor.
You will be a pioneer in the field of genetic engineering.
You're lying.
No, I'm not. You created him. Well, I suppose I should say you are going to create him. His name is Kyle Climb, your clone. That is why he looks just like a younger version of yourself. 23 years ago, in the biolab here in Rhizome 9, you created Kyle. Well, I suppose for you, that's still in the future. When I said I was born and raised here, I was still pretending to be him. The gravity here is only 1/6 of Earth's. If nothing was done, the reduced gravity would cause his bones to be weaker than normal human ones. But you prepared for that. You gave him that armor. Ever since he was born, he's lived inside of it. It kept his muscles and bones strong. He wasn't forced into it for the nonary game. He's been wearing it every day, all his life.
Why would... What?
He was to be your spare. If something happened to you before the project began, he would take your place. I mentioned before that the AB projects A and B stood for after and before. That isn't all they mean, though. The A also means anima, and the B means body. Anima is another word for the soul, or the consciousness. Body is, well, exactly what it says on the tin. The past consciousness will go into the future body, and the future consciousness will go into the past body. They switch. That was the chief goal of the project.
So the future person goes into the past person?
Sigma, do you remember the note you found in the garden?
You mean this, right?
Yes. Ah, of course, it was you who investigated the garden in this timeline.
Yeah.
Sigma, take a good look at this. It's an illustration of the time jumps your consciousness is making. A is where everything began. December 25th, 2028. You inhaled the white smoke in your car and lost consciousness. From there, you jumped to B. January 25th, 2074. You woke up in one of the AB rooms in Rhizome 9. You are in your own body, but it is 67 years old. Your consciousness has jumped 45 years into the future. I believe that may explain why you didn't notice the reduced lunar gravity. The body you woke up in was much older. Normally, you would have noticed that your muscles were much weaker. In this case, however, the lower gravity balanced that out. Moving on. If you continue along this line, what happens next? You reach C, which is January 27th, 2074. That is today.
Whoa, wait, what do you mean? Are you saying it's been 2 days since we woke up?
36 hours to be exact. Have you already forgotten? You were all infected with Radical 6. The virus slowed your brain down, so yes, 36 hours of real time have passed. But to you, it only seemed like 14 hours and 40 minutes. Now comes the important part. After this, your consciousness will return to the past. It will re-emerge at point D. April 13th, 2029. You will return to your younger body.
But that's the same day as the reactor explosions.
Yes. That is why I said it will be too late. You will return to the past, but the events you would want to prevent will have already happened. The story does not end there, however. The line continues. After reaching point D, you will eventually return to B. But this time, you won't be jumping through time, or at least not at a rate faster than normal. Your consciousness will spend 45 years inhabiting the same body until you reach point B. Do you remember when B is, Sigma?
January 25th, 2074. According to what you just said, it's 36 hours ago.
Correct. That was when the consciousness of the 22-year-old Sigma jumped into the body of 67-year-old Sigma. So where did the older version of you go when you took his body?
Point A. The day all of this started.
Yes. His consciousness will go back in time 45 years. For a period of time, he will inhabit your younger body. While your younger consciousness is elsewhere, he will be you in the past.
But once that body reaches point D, my 22-year-old consciousness will come back from C.
That's correct. When that happens, the older version of you will be ejected from your younger body and return to your body at C.
So it's rotating.
Rotating? I suppose you could put it that way. But look at this illustration closely. What if you take all these lines and untangle them? You get one single line. It may look complicated, but in truth, it's a single straight path, with one exception.
The line at E.
Exactly. Point E is December 31st, 2028. The day of the total eclipse.
The day Radical 6 got out of the test facility.
Yes. By now, you've likely figured it out on your own. The purpose of the AB project was to get the consciousness of the 67-year-old Sigma from point B to point A. If we can do that, we can change what happened 45 years ago.
So the old version of me will keep Radical 6 from getting out by jumping into my 22-year-old body on New Year's Eve of 2028?
Yes, that is why this line could not be interrupted. In order for the 67-year-old version of you to reach point B, we first have to go through point D. In order to get to point D, we must jump from point C. And for point C to happen, we had to recreate everything that happened in this facility. That is why we have faithfully retraced history up to this point. So that we might save humankind from destruction. And undo the horrors of the last 45 years.
Tell me one thing.
What is that?
You said that point C is January 27th, which is today. There's going to be a jump, and I'll jump to April 13th.
Yes, that's right.
But look, I'm still old. When is the jump supposed to happen?
Very soon. Yes.
What's gonna trigger the jump?
We need potential energy stored to send your consciousness into the fourth dimension. Fortunately, we now have plenty of that. Thanks, ironically, to Radical 6. All that remains is to launch your consciousness. Like a bullet from a slingshot.
How do you propose to do that?
Didn't I tell you? A crisis. A moment balanced between life and death. That can jumpstart your brain.
What do you mean?
You haven't figured it out. I mean this.
Oh, fuck! The knife! Whoa! I screamed and leapt toward the Makane was already in motion, the knife, driving toward Phi's chest. I was almost there. When I regained consciousness, I was on the floor. A dull pain in my chest. I felt a cut, but something was in the way. It took me a moment to realize that it was Akane's body lying on top of me. I twisted my neck to look around. The old tombstone. To Fui Ego Eris. What you are, I was. What I am, you will be. Then that's it. Then at this point, we are launched. We're forced to be launched back. Which, if I remember, because forgive me, there was a lot of fucking details at that point. We are now launched to the moment in which all of the reactors go off. And then, at that point, we would be launched back to... I believe we would be launched back to this, the moment where the game was about to start. I don't think we were launched back to where the car was. Where we were in the car. The point is, consciousness would be launched in an effort to prevent the things that happened at the Nevada test site. To stop Radical 6, and that is what the final game in this series is about. That's what Zero Time Dilemma is about. Alright, Not gonna lie, I didn't expect that last twist. People are probably wondering about one aspect of this, and it's that, KZ, there's another ending that you can obtain. And there is. There is one more ending left in this game, and, I guess we're going to cover it? I don't know if I even should, because fact of the matter is, the last ending you obtain is by collecting every single thing in the game and completing everything on hard. I've done that, of course, but as it turns out, that ending doesn't matter. People told me that people thought that that ending was going to matter in some way to the whole scheme of the next game, but it turns out it's completely uncanon. It is a funny what-if thing just cuz. So that's interesting, I guess. But this is the true canon ending. Huh. Well, I can't leave this unfinished. We will see this final true ending through. I'll see if I have to do anything else to unlock it, but this game did things. Phi End. A new destination has been unlocked. April 13th.
Today is April 13th, 2029, and this is the evening news. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I don't have any news to read. All of our station's reporters have passed after contracting Radical 6. So have my... Excuse me. I've managed to keep us on the air until now. But I'm out of tricks. It's time for me to sign off. This concludes our broadcast day. I pray that someday our world can be cleansed of this horrible plague. Goodbye.
What? For a moment, I just stared at the TV. The roar of static seemed to fill the entire room until, with a click, it disappeared too. Had the power gone out? I heard footsteps behind me and turned around. You. Oh, hello. What's up?
It looks like the first step was successful.
What the fuck? You killed me!
Killed?
I guess technically you're gonna kill me 45 years from now, but still.
Hey, no need to be rude about it.
Oh, fuck off, you stupid cunt.
I didn't kill you. I hit you with the butt of the knife. You're fine.
What?
Yes. You and Phi needed to experience a state of crisis. That was the only way.
Me and Phi?
Yes. I only told you about you, but we also needed Phi to jump. Now, you know what happens next, right?
We go to the moon?
Correct. We will be leaving tomorrow, April 14th, 2029. We've nearly finished preparing your shuttle. Only a few last-minute checks and additions. You'll be traveling to Rhizome 9, along with 3 treatment pods.
Alice and Clover, right?
Yes.
What about the third one? Who's in there?
Phi. We put her into cold sleep 2 days ago. She appeared at our headquarters and volunteered to be frozen. That wasn't the Phi who jumped from Point C, though. It was Phi before she jumped from Point A to Point D. In other words, she was following the same path you are. And she still is.
Then that means that after you froze her, the Point C version of her jumped back into her body.
Yes, the Point C version of Phi is sleeping in that pod. She'll stay there for the next 45 years. sleeping in ice.
But who the fuck is Phi? We know, like, nothing about her. And when she gets to point B, her consciousness will jump to point A, right?
Correct.
So that's why she doesn't look old. So why don't you just stick me in one of those pods?
We can't do that.
Why not?
You haven't figured it out? You have to spend the next 45 years working on the AB project. After arriving at Rhizome 9, you must master genetic engineering and artificial intelligence programming, among other disciplines.
I hate you.
Otherwise, you will be unable to create Kyle, Luna, and Lagomorph. And, of course, you will need to develop the chromatic doors and the bracelets. You will also be the person who summons Tenmyoji and Quark. Once you've completed all the preparations, then the project can actually begin. January 25th, 2074. You will defrost Phi and carry her to the third AB room. Once you've done that, the 22-year-old version of you from point A will force you out. And you'll just go back 45 years to your own body on December 25th, 2028.
And then I change history. Do you really think I can keep the virus from getting out?
You have to. If you don't, billions of people will die. Only you and Phi can save them.
What about you? Aren't you an Esper too?
I can't do anything on my own.
Yeah, fucking clearly.
If this is going to work, I'll need your help.
So what do I need to do?
What do you mean?
Like, what specific actions do I need to take? When Phi and I jump to point A, what are we gonna do then?
You'll both enter the Mars mission test site.
And after that?
I don't know.
What?
I'm sorry. I really don't know anything about what happens in there. We don't know how the Radical Six escaped. We don't even know why it was there in the first place.
Ah, shit. Then we're screwed.
That's why we need your help. You have the ability to jump through time and across parallel worlds. We need you to figure out what happened in that test facility. Things will be difficult, and I'm sure you will find yourself in a great deal of danger. But I believe the two of you can overcome any obstacle.
Wait. How do you know it's so dangerous?
The 67-year-old version of you told me what happened. He wasn't able to stop the virus. So I suppose you could say you told me after you failed.
What did I say?
That the test facility is full of traps. There was one point, a woman's life was in danger. You risked yourself for her sake, and lost your arms and your right eye.
Well, I guess that explains the eye patch. And why I have robot arms. What?! Stop it! Stop it! This is that same stupid pose you get when he's like, look at all these bracelets, and then the axe ending happened in 999. It's the same one, only this one's done because I got sparkly arms.
Go have a look.
I looked outside the window. On the horizon, a massive mushroom cloud climbing slowly toward the sky. Would we really be able to change the course of history? No. That was the wrong way to look at it. Couldn't be a question. I had to. We could save the world. I'm going to change history. I stared at the darkening skies above us and steeled myself I would succeed. End or beginning. well then. Well, look what we have here, folks. One more path. Another time. Let's see the secret ending, I guess.
Where?
What?
I see you've finally woken up, Kyle.
We're playing as Kyle?
Kyle?
Ah, yes. Of course. You've only just woken up in this timeline. It's only natural for some of your memories to be missing.
I lurched upright, jumped off the bed, ran around the other side of the partition. Huh. No mistaking it. The reflection belonged to
Kyle Klein. So, I'm Dr. Klein? Zero Senior's clone?
What? How do you know that? Shouldn't you still be suffering from amnesia?
an excellent question. One I didn't quite know the answer to myself. I know who Kyle Klein was. In another history, he had been called K and had worn a suit of armor. He hadn't just worn the armor in that history, though. Apparently, he'd worn it all his life. Kyle had been born and raised in this lunar installation, which seemed to be called Rhizome 9. Rather late in his life, Akane had appeared as a mother figure, and he had consequently grown very attached. I knew everything about him, but even though I knew it, I didn't feel it. Was I really Kyle Klein? Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw his face. The spitting image of Sigma Klein in his younger days. I looked down. Dio, still handcuffed. Turned around back to Luna.
What day is today?
January 27th, 2074.
Today is the last day of the AB project. Akane has explained everything in the garden. And she drew a knife and attacked Phi. How long have I been asleep?
About 5 hours in real time. For them, it would have seemed like a little more than 2 hours.
So they still haven't been treated for their Radical 6?
No, they've all been given the antiviral. It just takes a while to have an effect.
Ah, I see. So the consciousness of the younger Sigma has gone back into the past. It should have happened right after Akane attacked Phi, right?
Yes.
Why am I here?
The doctor carried you back here. You were in the pod in the garden.
So the person you call the doctor is Sigma Klein, as inhabited by his age-appropriate consciousness.
Yes, but how do you know that?
Dio seems to have remained unconscious.
Yes. I've been administering Soparil whenever he gets restless.
What about the others?
They've all gone off to different areas. Tenmyoji and Quark, for instance.
Oh, right! Mr. Klein!
So the sleepyhead's finally up, huh?
What are you two doing here?
You don't know where we are?
This is the upper floor of the pressure exchange chamber. The real one.
Mm-hmm.
We were just about to get dressed and head out.
You plan to return then? To Earth, I mean.
Yeah.
Sigma told us where we could find the shuttle that brought us here. Well, guess he's not really the Sigma I knew anymore. He's Dr. Klein now, or Zero Senior, depending on how you look at it.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Well, I'm just curious why you would choose to return to a devastated planet when you could stay here.
How's staying here gonna help? You aren't gonna say something idiotic about how we should wait here until Sigma changes the past, are you? You can't wait for something that's already happened. Grammar doesn't work that way. Hell, nature doesn't work that way. You following me? We've already lived through history. Sigma failed to keep the virus from getting out. About 45 years ago, Radical 6 created a pandemic, and the antimatter reactors blew up. That all happened. Whatever Sigma does in the past, history's not gonna change. In fact, it's because of what he did or didn't do in the past that we've got this past and present. Let me give you an example. Imagine a group of 100 motorcycles driving down an endless freeway. Eventually, they hit a junction. The road splits in two. One freeway continues off northwest, and the other stretches out to the northeast. So one guy, we'll call him S, pipes up. "Let's go northwest," he says. So they take the northwestern road, but about a mile past the intersection, something horrible happens. A semi driving the other way veers into their lane and plows through the bikers. 90 of them die. The surviving 10 are wounded, but survive. They don't stop, though. They keep riding down that highway, and eventually they'd gone 10,000 miles. Then suddenly, something happens that they couldn't have predicted. S, who had survived, suddenly has his consciousness thrown back in time. He ends up back in his own body just before they reach the junction. He remembers everything. So what does S do? What anybody would do. Let's go northeast. That means all 100 of the bikers survive to reach their destination, happy and healthy. And they all live happily ever after. That's what you're thinking, right? It's a great outcome for the 100 bikers that went northeast, but what about the 10 that went northwest and survived the accident?
Huh? Wouldn't it be 9 people? I mean, S's mind went back in time, right?
Right. Okay, 9 people then. What happens to the reality they were living? Does it just disappear when S changes the past? It's not as if it was only bad things that happened during that 10,000-mile trip. Maybe one of them fell in love with a woman working at a gas station they stopped at and had a child. Maybe one of them picked up a homeless kid who joined them on their adventure. That 10,000-mile journey would be full of stories, friendships, farewells, romances. The loss of those 90 lives is horrible and unfortunate. But what would rewriting their history mean? The 9 who survived lived full lives. How can it be right to just erase all that? The survivors overcame their own misery and loss and made the best they could of the hand they'd been dealt. Isn't that worth something? Isn't that the best thing that humans can aspire to? Is there really any point to a world where everything is happy? Are people who struggle for a better life just idiots? Being human is about fighting even when it seems hopeless, and finding happiness even in a world that hates it. Are you saying that's worthless? If you're saying rewriting the past will erase all these other timelines, then whatever God wrote those rules can Look, I'm just not going to accept that, all right? You get it?
If Sigma changes the past, then you and Quark will never meet.
Is he right?
No, it's not going to happen. We're here right now. This is reality. Even if Sigma does change the past, we're not just going to disappear or something.
Oh! Then that means we get to stay together? Good.
Thanks, kid.
I understand how you feel. Why you want to return to Earth is clear. You have lives there, I imagine. There are likely people waiting for you.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Have you already said goodbye to the others?
Vi, Luna, Alice, and Clover all saw us off. We told them we'd see them again someday, and then came here.
What the fuck is wrong with your mouth?
They were the only people you want to say goodbye to?
Well, no point saying anything to Dio.
Besides, he's asleep. You were asleep too.
Sorry, but we didn't really know much about you.
You have a point. Akane was in the armor in this timeline, after all. What about Sigma?
Well, he's not really Mr. Sigma anymore.
Of course. He is Dr. Klein now that his consciousness has returned.
Yeah, but more importantly, he's the guy who brought us all here. Not a lot of warm feelings there, you know?
And Akane?
Never mind her. She's just like him. Not the Akane I knew. She must have seen some pretty awful things over the years. Hell, she might not even be human anymore. But the Akane Kurashiki I know, she's not anywhere.
In the end, Clover and I were just pawns. Pawns to be used and then gotten rid of. Still, it's not like we were completely resentful. We had to be here to help change the past. That part's easy to understand. But
kinda sucks, though. I mean, Sigma and Phi have it easy. They get to go back to December 25th in 2028. They'll stop the Radical Six and save the world, and then they'll have a nice, normal future to look forward to. In other words, they get to go back to Point E and just enjoy history like it was supposed to happen.
But we don't. We're stuck with Point C as our starting point.
You told us about Tenmyoji's story, right? The one with the motorcycles? It would be like if Alice and I were kidnapped right before the intersection. Then whoever grabbed us takes us to wherever the bikers are going, 10,000 miles to the northwest.
Don't get us wrong. We know why we had to be here. Without us, S's consciousness wouldn't have been able to go back to right before the intersection.
If that couldn't happen, then the fate of those 90 dead bikers would be sealed. But
it's still not the best situation for those of us left in the Northwest. We're stuck in the reality where the 90 bikers died.
Are we just supposed to go live on Earth? It's a wasteland now. And what about our friends and families? We left a whole world behind 45 years ago.
Even if it is for the greater good?
It just doesn't seem fair, does it?
Yeah, it seems like they threw away a bunch of perfectly good characters. Snake, Santa, they're dead. What about, Seven? He's gone. All of these characters that were connected in the last game are gone in general. And, I'm assuming they're not going to be used in the next game, so it's like, why would they be dropped? Why do we not see Santa at all, even though he's Akane's brother? How do you not see him in future games? You feel like he'd have a play in this.
Yeah, it's a little bit much.
So we went and talked to the old lady.
She told us that there is one way.
One way we could get back to the past.
Let's say you do go back to the past. Wouldn't that cause your minds to get thrown back here? That seemed to be how Sigma and Phi's jumps worked, at least.
Yes, you're right.
But this is different.
Different? How so?
From what she said, it sounds like there's a way we can send our bodies back in time, too.
That's ridiculous. It would create a paradox. How could you have 2 Clovers and 2 Alices at the same time?
But that wouldn't happen.
Akane says there's a way around that.
How on earth does she plan to do that?
Schrodinger's?
Cat.
Oh, hey, Kyle. Figured you'd come here eventually.
Where's Dr. Klein? Luna said you were with him.
He said he was tired, so he's off resting right now. There's a bedroom at the end of the hallway. He's in there if you're curious. Oh, right. He told me to turn on this hologram projector thing when you showed up. Want me to start it?
This is a trip.
Sure.
Glad to see you. There isn't anything in particular that I have to tell you. However, I imagine there are a great number of things weighing on your mind. I'd love to answer all your questions, but unfortunately, my circumstances make that an impossibility. I hope you can forgive me. Everything I know, Phi should also know. I have instructed her to answer any questions anyone might have. Anyone other than Kyle, that is.
What does he mean, other than Kyle?
Who knows? Is there anything you want to ask?
Oh, right, well, I guess I may as well cut to the chase. Just who are you, Phi?
I'm not Superman, that's for sure. And I'm not Batman. I'm not a Brahmin.
Please
Yep.
don't. About 5 hours ago, Akane attacked you with a knife. That triggered something which sent your mind back to the past, correct?
Given that they just don't say who she is each time, I can only assume the writers don't actually know yet.
Specifically, you were sent to Point D, April 13th, 2029. On that date, your body was already in Akane's custody. Although by then you were in cold sleep. You wouldn't have regained consciousness, but your mind was now inhabiting that body. That pod was your home for 45 years. You slept there, frozen, until the time was right. Then on January 25th, 2074, you were finally thawed out. Even though you didn't wake up. Still unconscious, you were carried to the AB room. That was when your consciousness changed bodies again. A version of you from December 25th, 2028 arrived, pushing you out and sending you back to December 25th, 2028. This is when you finally woke up. In 2028, you found and joined forces with Sigma, whose older mind was inhabiting his younger body. Together, you attempted to infiltrate the Mars mission test facility. Fortunately, your plan failed. The Radical Six did escape on New Year's Eve. That failure determined the path you followed. Instead of going along the line that branches out to the right from Point E, you headed straight to Point D. Point D being April 13th of the following year. That was the day that you made your way to Akane's hideout and asked to be put into one of the treatment pods. Another consciousness enters your body around that time from the future. It is, of course, the version of you that left your body when Akane attacked you in the garden. This caused the two versions of you to swap places. And you moved 45 years into the future, where you woke up on the garden floor. That put you on the line that comes here. So if we discount the time you spent in cold sleep, for you, only 3.5 months have passed since that happened. That being when you were sent back into the past from the garden. Have I missed anything?
No, everything you talked about you got right.
Well, what do you mean by that?
I'm kind of an unknown variable in this equation. You could think of me as a kind of X factor. It's taken me the last 3.5 months to understand it.
I haven't understood anything in the last 3.5 seconds. Could you please explain?
It's kind kind of like the relationship between classical mechanics and modern physics. Strictly speaking, you can't combine velocities with v1 plus v2. v1 plus v2 divided by 1 plus v1 times v2 over c squared is the actual equation.
I was gonna really go in, but
of
no.
course, the sort of velocities we encounter in day-to-day life don't come close to being c squared, which is the speed of light squared. That means that 1 plus v1 times v2 divided by c squared is usually going to evaluate to something pretty close to 1. Since that would mean dividing by 1, it's usually okay to just skip that step and use v1 plus v2. You see what I'm saying? In most situations, it works, even if it isn't technically correct. So you knew enough to get the stuff you were talking about, right? As long as you stick to that, you won't run into any problems.
I don't quite understand. In fact, I feel like you're dodging my questions.
So was that what you wanted to ask about?
No. What I really want to know is what happened between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2028. You and Sigma infiltrated the Mars mission test site, didn't you?
Yes.
What happened there? How did Sigma lose his eye and both his arms? And why was Radical 6 in there in the first place? What could a deadly virus have to do with the simulated mission to space?
Sorry, but I can't tell you that.
Why?
Because it would change history. There is a history where the virus didn't escape. That's the line that goes to the right of point E. In that timeline, humanity isn't heading for annihilation, and Earth isn't red. The future is much brighter. But if I tell you what you're asking me right now, then that reality will disappear. You understand?
I don't. Why would all of that disappear if you told me what I want to know?
You're about to go back to the past, right?
The past? Don't be silly. I can't do that.
Then where the hell did you learn all this stuff? I just listened to you tell me a bunch of things you shouldn't have known about. You were sleeping in the pod in the garden. You just woke up. So how can you know all this? You know my past. Sigma's past.
I shall give you your answer. You are not Kyle Climb. Your body is Kyle's, but your consciousness is not. Think about it. Do you really believe you're Kyle? Or could you be someone else entirely?
Then, where is the real Kyle's consciousness?
He was thrown out when you entered. Right now, in a manner of speaking, he has arrived at December 25th, 2028. His consciousness has gone into a body from that time. I doubt you know how much the doctor loves Kyle. He raised him on his own. Kyle is irreplaceable. Do you really think he would go back to the past and leave Kyle behind? I know what I told the others, that Kyle was Dr. Climb's spare, but that was not his only purpose. Kyle's consciousness is integral to what we are trying to accomplish. This new mission begins on Christmas and ends on New Year's Eve 2028. Its purpose will be to infiltrate the test facility and prevent the spread of the virus. For this to happen, Kyle is absolutely necessary.
And that is why he created him?
Yes.
So now that my consciousness has entered his body, the Doctor has achieved his objective. Kyle has gone back to 2028 to participate in his mission.
Correct.
There's one thing that troubles me. Kyle was created before reaching point B from point D. That means his body did not exist on Christmas in 2028. Does that mean he has entered my body? Have we just switched places?
I suppose you could put it that way, yes.
That's ridiculous. What's going to happen to me? You're telling me I have to spend the rest of my life here in this box, living in a borrowed body?
No, not at all. You can travel freely through time and space. You are an uncontrolled variable that entered our closed system. As such, the rules of this world do not apply to you.
I have no idea what...
Please don't try to play dumb. I know what you are. Surely you must know by now, too.
Kinda.
You are about to go into the past and save the world. Phi and Sigma, even with all of his future knowledge, will need your help. Only you can right the horrible wrongs of our past. Only you can save the world.
There's no way I...
Yes, there is. You have to. Don't you want to know the truth? Don't you want to know what happened in between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2028?
Well, yes, I do, but...
Then you must believe. Reality is shaped by what we believe reality should be. If observation can change the motion of a particle, then how is it odd to think that human thought can shape reality? Your will can change history. The world will be reshaped into the one you imagine. Remember what I've told you. Only you can change history. Only you can save the world.
Alternative end. That's a wrap. Just like that, we're done. That's every ending. Every path, everything done with VLR. I think it's pretty clear, at least this is my interpretation. That ending apparently isn't canon, but based on my interpretation, it could be. In that the person you play as in that last section is the player. At least that was my interpretation. And it's, you are going to save the world because you're going to play the next game. You're going to work with the other characters because you're the one experiencing it. Because who else could know about all of these events? Kyle couldn't know about them. Sigma's gone. It would have to be you, the person experiencing it at this point. With that, this is done. This is VLR. The next game we'll be covering is Zero Time Dilemma, the final game in this trilogy. Final thoughts. This game is a hell of a lot better than 999 and did a much better job of explaining a lot of things. I do have one qualm, one issue, and it's that it doesn't really explain anything about Phi at all. We don't really know anything about her. But there's another game to fulfill that, and they gave me enough of an explanation that I'm totally cool with everything here. With 999, everything important and interesting that I wanted to know wasn't really answered for me. They didn't answer it. They were leaving it to a sequel that they might get. And here, they answered a lot. They exhaustively answered questions that I wanted to hear. So, in the end, this game is a much more enjoyable experience than 999 because it fulfilled what I wanted. It gave me enough answers and enough hooks to want to go further. There were no sequel hooks in 999. There's no reason to go to another game. And now we have that. I've trained my dogs to attack whenever any prey of the Zero Escape series escapes. But unfortunately it has. So next time we meet, I'll be jumping into Zero Time Dilemma, the final game in this series. With very high expectations and high hopes, and riding high off a satisfying conclusion of VLR. And you know what's great about that? I heard that game is actually bad. See you soon.